Hey fam, welcome back to the channel. We're going to water bath some pickles, some cucumbers today to turn them into pickles, okay? But before we do, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, share the video out, leave me some comments down below, and let's get into the video. First, you want to go pick your cucumbers or go to the farmer's market and buy some, put them in some water, and clean them before doing anything else. Lemon juice is optional. That's just what I chose to do. Now that you've cleaned your cucumbers, you want to take the blossom in and cut that off, and also cut off the other tip of the cucumber. Now let's talk jars. I wash mine in the dishwasher. You can hand wash them. Just make sure that they are clean, even if you just bought them. These are brand new, but I'm inspecting them to make sure there are no chips in them. I place my jars in my water bath canner. This will keep the jars nice and warm while I'm doing my prep work. I keep my lids in a separate pot, which will come to a simmer and make the seal nice and soft for placing it on my jars. Let's go over some of what we will be using today. I didn't have dill in my garden, but I did buy some, and I'm using 1 teaspoon of turmeric also. This is optional. The turmeric is optional. I'm also using dill weed and pickling spice. Now this too is optional, not the pickling spice, but the garlic is optional if you don't like garlic. And you need pickling salt. I didn't have any, so I'm using kosher salt, and you can also use sea salt. Next, you want to slice your cucumber straight down the middle, then flip it over and cut it into spears if you're doing spears. If you're doing chips, you don't have to slice it in the middle. You just slice it whole. You do want to slice it where you keep a good bit of the skin on. That'll help the firmness of the cucumber. As I'm cutting the cucumbers, I'm placing them in the tub in front of me because I will be salting them and putting them in the refrigerator for 2 hours. That is optional also. If you decide to salt them, all you're going to do is take your kosher salt or your sea salt or your pickling salt, sprinkle it over, and then you're going to toss it with your hand, cover it up, and stick it in the refrigerator for 2 hours. So let's move on to the brine. When starting the brine, I'm using 2 quarts of water, 1 quart of white distilled vinegar, and then I'm adding 2/3 sugar and 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. Next part, you can do either way. You can take your pickling spices, add them to your pot like I am, adding 2 tablespoons of it, or you can do 1 tablespoon in your jars. But I'm doing it this way. I'm going to stir it up, and then I'm going to put it on high, let it come to a boil, and then bring it down to a simmer. Next, you want to chop up your dill. I forgot to tell you, these are some of the items I'm using: my magnet wand, my funnel, and my jar lifter. So it's been 2 hours. We're going to rinse this salt off, and we're going to put them in a strainer under cold water. Now it's time to add the ingredients to your jar. So you're going to take 1 tablespoon of dill weed and add them to each of your jars. Remember, I said turmeric is optional. I chose to use turmeric, and I'm using 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric because it helps with inflammation in the body. Next, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic. You can use 1 tablespoon, but I didn't want it to be too garlicky. Let's get to stuffing. Stuff it real good. The tighter you pack those cucumbers in that jar, less brine you'll have to use in the end. Now that you have jarred up all of your cucumbers, it is time to get your brine on. Get your brine on. Give it a good swish, swoosh, and then start adding your brine to your jar. I like to keep a 1/2 inch head space. Now you need to debubble to make sure you don't have any air pockets in there. And also, once you debubble, you may have to add more liquid to your jar. Remember that. Make sure you're wiping it down with your vinegar on a cloth or paper towel. Then get your lid with your magnet wand or however you're going to do it. Make sure it's on there good. Get your ring and get it fingertip tight. Now that you've got one jar out of the way, the rest of them should be a piece of cake. Or should I say a piece of pickle. Again, remember to debubble. You may need to add more liquid once you do that. Wipe your jars down. Get all that excess stuff off so your seal won't be compromised. Add your lids and then add your rings. Easy peasy. So we're almost done. It's time to add it to your water bath canner. Be careful. This water is hot. It's not on high. It's on a medium low. And now you're just going to, once I get this squeezed in here, okay, ease it down into the water. Do not put your timer on until after this water comes to boil. Put your lid on. Turn the heat up to high. Wait for it to start boiling. Oh, I forgot. I had a little too much water in the pot, you guys. So you can just scoop that right on out of there. You want the water to be an inch over the top of the jars. And then wait your 15 minutes. Ta-da, you're done. Once your 15-minute timer is up, take your jars out with your jar lifter. Be careful. Place them on a mat or a towel so that they don't burst. Listen for the pings. If one does not seal completely, you can still use it. Just put it in the refrigerator. But let these sit out overnight and then put them in your long-term storage. And don't forget to label it. Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to water can. Hey, fam, welcome back to